Bisharp Kamen reporting for duty! We've seen a lot of lists talking about what people want to see in Sun and Moon, from mechanics to features to even the oversaturated Mega Evolutions list. But frankly, I want to talk about more of the other possibilities. And that would be abilities! After all, abilities are one of the more important things when considering the power of a Pokemon. Whether it be with something with Scrappy to deal with some of those oh-so-negative ghosts, or the recently released Necola's ability of Definite Sleep, which allows its user to be only affected by sleep moves. No paralysis, no burning, no confusion. The possibilities are endless, so this video is going to talk about the abilities that might, with a 0.0000001% chance of them actually happening. Hey, if practically every Poketuber and their mother can make claims that a Synchro Evolution is a thing based off the tiniest bit of evidence, then why can't I make this list? Number 5! If there's one ability I've been a fan of, it would have to be the ones related to status effects. One such example would have to be Guts, that raises the attack of its user that has a status affliction to it. But I want to take it a bit further. One such idea would have to have a similar ability with the Paralysis status effect, only it increases the speed of the afflicted Pokemon instead of decreasing it. Or even have the abilities grant elemental attacks, sort of like how Pixelate and Refrigerate work. Example, you got a burn? Normal attacks are now treated as fire attributed. Poisoned? Poison, of course. Paralysis? I think you're getting the idea here. This would also work to the advantage of Facade users, which would allow them to get a bit more of an edge, especially for the slower ones. Speaking of the idea, number 4. As I stated in the last one, more abilities that can change normal attacks into elemental ones would be a welcome one. For example, giving electrical change to a normal attacks would make Electrode a variable to consider, giving it an already powerful explosion and self-destruct an added stab boost. Although it would make it useless against ground Pokemon. Let's try this again. Flareon! One of the biggest complaints about this Pokemon is it's a physical attacker. It's rendered pretty useless due to there only being about 2 fire physical moves it can learn leveling up, and another via TM. However, with a fire change ability, even the relatively useless strength could be used to make it into a fire Pokemon like Flareon to have a bit more versatility other than just a supporter. Number 3! So, let's talk about Hordes. We all know about Hordes battles, those battles that allow you to EV train and find shinies quicker. Although both at the same time would be rather annoying. But anyway, Horde abilities. Having Pokemon with the same ability on the field giving them a boost. Sort of like how plus and minus work, but not to the detrimental that you can't run other things on your team. This would be a plus in double or triple battles, or even rotation, and you could even have a theme going on with them too. For example, let's take our newest Rock Pup Pokemon, Iwanko, for example, and take another canine Pokemon as well. Let's call their Horde ability Pack Call. By having at least 2 Pokemon with this ability, it would increase their speed. Add another and you got yourself a real set of speed demons running with the pack. Or how about with the Unknown? Everyone was bummed to discover that they weren't so badass from the 3rd movie, but with an ability such as like Spell the Unknown, it would actually reflect their debut and even how they're considered legendary, increasing their special attack to high levels. After all, there were nearly countless Unknown in the movie, and they could bend time and space, so that would be a nice callback. Now this might be a little broken, but I think that having an ability like this should extend to you having more in your party, not just necessarily on the field at the time. The trade-off being that you lose a Pokemon, one portion of the boost is gone, not to mention you'll have a few Pokemon with the same ability on your team, making your team a little predictable. Number 2! Let's see, what's a good ability to have? Well, let's be cool about this. I'll go sit in the corner now. But yeah, although it's really going to be a shot in the dark since our newest region is going to be set in a tropical region, there's still a snow-covered mountain region. So, there's going to be a couple new ice Pokemon available in the world, I hope. And as such, with ice types being considered one of the worst types in the entire game, several weaknesses, a low number of abilities, and even worse, having a weather condition that is practically a carbon copy of Sandstorm, there needs to be more. One ability should be that if physical attack strikes an ice Pokemon, it has a chance to freeze it. Similar to Static. Maybe call it Freezer Burn? Or how about an ability that cuts super effective damage done to ice types in half? Similar to how Filter works with Mega Aggron. At least make the ice types a bit more viable. Number 1! We've covered quite a bit so far in this list, but really, if you paid attention to most of my list, it's got a pretty similar theme going to it, making Pokemon considered bad much more viable. While I believe that every Pokemon has its own strength, they all have their own weaknesses too. And sometimes those weaknesses tend to outshine the Pokemon themselves and make them overlooked. So for my number one, I want an ability that can show the potential of even the weakest of Pokemon. And show that even your favorite Pokemon is a weakling, your bond with it can make it a powerhouse. Power of Bonds. Abilities that are determined by how much happiness you give your Pokemon and how much you interact with it during Pokemon Ami. Not only would this encourage more usage for the feature, but it would also turn the weakest of Pokemon into a powerhouse. Probably make it fair, have different versions that affect certain of its stats. Speed, attack, etc. Gotta have some balancing there. And that's my list. What abilities do you guys want to see in Sun and Moon? What do you think of my ability ideas? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching.